Well, ain't that a good start? That just sums up everything for anyone wearing this or having that on their wall in the background. Wild end up losing this 5-1 to the Calgary Flames in a game where we should have gotten revenge, but we didn't. We got our butts handed to us, what was it, 7-1 when we were up in Calgary? So I'm thinking, okay, as soon as we get back from this Canadian road trip, it was a little bumpy at the end. I know losing 3 games all in different fashion was bad. And Evason said that. After the Calgary game, he said, yeah, this was a real embarrassment for us. Which is good. At least you acknowledge the problem. So you'd think that the Wild would come back and, you know, put up a better fight. Well, I mean, it's 5-1. It's not 7-1 this time, so there's that. But Flames started out with a 2-0 lead in the first. And it was 2 quick ones, 2 back-to-back from Tkachuk and Mangiapane. Tkachuk's was almost instantaneous, a minute 12 in. And then Mangiapane's 12 minutes, 47 seconds in. And that was all the scoring for period 1. So obviously not a good start. Flames flying. And let me clarify, I only saw the 3rd period. I was actually in class for the first 2 periods of this, came back and saw the 3rd. But it didn't look good when I came back and the score was 3-1. Because in the 2nd period, Marcus Foligno finally, does the same thing again. Wouldn't you know it? Finally, Marcus Foligno gets the Wild on the board. He breaks his 8-game point drought, which I was noticing because, like, well, he hasn't really been active with them. He hasn't, like, shown up on the score sheet very often, and now he does in a big way, gets the Wild on the board, and then 20 seconds later, according to NHL.com, 20 seconds later, Elias Lindholm puts it in. 3-1, just like that. And then we go to the 3rd period, where the Wild end up starting the period with Matthew Boldy in the box. So already not very good. And then 33 seconds in, Tyler Toffoli does what Tyler Toffoli does as soon as the Flames acquired him, and he's just done nothing but good things. And he ends up getting a power play goal. His 14th of the season. His 7th, I believe, with Calgary alone. So, oh my God. But from the period I did see, obviously seeing that right at the beginning made me think, oh, geez, it's not looking too good. But the Wild put up more of a fight. At least it seems like they did compared to the first 2 periods. They were actually being aggressive a little bit more. They were not letting pucks just stay in the corner. They were actually going to get them. They had Calgary on their heels for a good chunk of the period, and they almost had some close chances. But there's one thing that they could do that I swear would win them the game. It's a really simple thing that most hockey teams do, most successful hockey teams do. What they do is they take their stick, they put it on the ice, and they shoot. Believe it or not, it works. I know, foreign concept, but it works. Because if there's one thing that the Wild haven't been doing, it's been shooting the puck. I don't know why they seem to struggle with that, but instead of, you know, dumping it into the corner or, you know, shooting like they should, they decide to pass and pass and pass and pass and continue to pass. All until it gets intercepted either in the slot, either on the sideboards, maybe they're going up to a D pairing and somebody steals it and goes the other way. They continue to pass even when it's not necessary. And they are just afraid of shooting. Literally, power plays in this game, Calgary was 2 for 3 on the power play. We were 0 for 4. And in the 1 power play that we got in the 3rd period, which I believe we only had 1 in the 3rd, but I got to check that. Yeah, we had 1 power play in the 3rd for a clear hooking call against Brett Ritchie. And the Wild, they were close. I will admit, they were close, but they just don't shoot very often. Zuccarello keeps trying to go after Kaprizov, but he's over on this side of the zone. There's a Flames player in the slot, which is the center of the zone, and then Kaprizov's on the other side of the zone on the boards. And lo and behold, Zuccarello just says, screw it, I'm just going to fire it across the zone. Luckily, that play ends up not getting stolen, but instead deflected onto the net. So even that pass ended up somehow ricocheting towards the net. And it just kept acting like that. The Wild would have trouble entering the zone because they'd always want to dump it in. And when you dump it, you better be the first one to the puck. That's the only way dumping the puck works. Otherwise, there's no point to dumping the puck. You might as well just keep lobbing it back like our defensemen continue to do. All of our defensemen just want to be offensive. They have the green light. That's good. Then skate. The forwards will cover the point, so just skate it up. And clearly passes were not connecting, and it was just looking miserable. And Ryan Carter said on the Wild broadcast that this team needs some sort of spark. And I'm not sure what that is, whether it's a change of the lineups, which I'd assume could probably help, whether it's sending Talbot down to the minors because he was in net for this game. And I don't want to be mean to the guy, but at the same time, he's just let in some goals that you just scratch your head at. You don't. Oh my God, I have my head's in my hands because I don't know what to do. I don't truly know how to solve this team. I'm assuming shooting the puck will be better, but I don't know if that'll solve all the problems because goaltending is still an issue. Or, and I could be optimistic about this, the Flames are a really good team. One of the hottest in the NHL right now, figuratively and literally. And it's just a tough stretch of games. But unfortunately, I don't think we can use that excuse because what we have left is a tough stretch of games. We have some difficult opponents coming up as soon as I pull up the schedule here because it's obviously playing Calgary back-to-back is not something that's easy for teams to do. Maybe in the beginning of the season it was, and maybe when these games were originally scheduled, we could have probably won. But Calgary has just found new life with Tyler Toffoli. Jacob Markstrom is a wall in net. Johnny Gaudreau is, good with another good team in front of him. Andrew Mangiapane, of course. Matthew Tkachuk. The Flames, I think, are the team to beat out of the Pacific. So, obviously, it's looking pretty tough for Minnesota. But as soon as I pull up the full schedule here, let's just see how much tougher it will get. Because there's still some tough games on the schedule. And the good news for us, most of it is at home. Almost the entire month of March, we are at home for these games. So let's see. At least we have 2 easy opponents next. We go to Philadelphia to play the Flyers. That is on Thursday. So if we lose to Philadelphia, that is reason to truly panic. Right now, it's obviously bad to lose 6 of your last 7. But again, they've been to mostly good teams. Again, we lost to Florida. That was a tough one. Losing 6-2, that doesn't feel good. But we did beat Carolina midway through there. I don't think they're counting that, though. Beat the Red Wings by a ton. Remember when we beat the Oilers 7-3 after we lost 6-2 to Florida on prime time? That felt so good. And then we lost to the Senators, which I'll put that up to a horrible call at the end because there's no way Greenway gets tripped when he's the one getting tripped. Doesn't make sense. We lose to the Maple Leafs 3-1, which I tried to get the game from Dangle because a lot of these games I haven't been able to see due to college and stuff like that. Apparently, the Wild just sucked at face-offs and turnovers because I'm getting a lot of my information, Minnesota hockey territory, getting my information from them, and that's the comment they put on there. They watch all these games too, so I'll stick with that. Losing 7-3. Okay, so we lost 7-3 to the Flames, and now we lose this one 5-1, so in reality, it's still not better. But, like I said, we are going to play the Flyers in Philadelphia. If we lose to the Flyers, that will be reason to truly panic. And that's when some sort of move should be made. I also realize that we still don't have Matt Dumba, and I know Wild fans kind of want him shipped off for some reason, but maybe that could help. Okay, I'm not sure how bad our defensemen have been. They haven't looked too terrible. It's mainly just our offense can't score now. We had no problems with scoring midway through that long streak of ours, and now we just can't score. So it doesn't really make much sense. So we play, like I said, we play the Flyers on Thursday. Then after that, we play the Sabres on Friday. Yes, it's a back-to-back, it's an Eastern road trip, but we better win both of those games. Because we actually lost to the Sabres the first time this year in Minnesota. That's how bad it was. That was the first sort of losing streak that we had. That was thrown in there. We better beat Philadelphia and Buffalo. And we come home to face the Stars. We host the Rangers at the Red Wings, at the Blue Jackets. We host the Predators. We host the Bruins. Host the Blackhawks. That shouldn't be too tough. Host Vegas. Host the Canucks. Host the Blue Jackets. Host the Avs. Again, that's going to be a tough one. Host the Flyers. Host the Penguins. We're a good team. Then we head to Carolina. Then to Washington. Then to Nashville. Then to St. Louis. And by this point, I'm at April 8th for the St. Louis game. That is going to be a tough road trip. Okay, Hurricanes, Capitals, Predators, and Blues. We got our asses handed to us in the Winter Classic. We have struggled against Nashville. We barely beat Carolina 3-2. I'm willing to bet they want revenge. And we barely beat the Capitals 3-2. I'm willing to bet they want revenge, although they haven't looked as dominant as those other three teams. After the Blues on April 8th, we come back home, host the Kings, host the Oilers. Then we're at the Stars, at the Blues again. Because, of course, we host the Sharks. We're at the Canadiens. If we lose to the fucking Canadiens, excuse my language, if we lose to the Canadiens on April 19th, I won't know what to say. I honestly, but that's looking incredibly far out. I'm just glancing quickly at the schedule. But again, I'm looking at the schedule. And look at that. Last two games. Second to last game, we host the Flames. Last game of the year, we host the Avs. This is a tough schedule coming up. So I'm not sure if you can chalk it up to, oh, these are tough opponents. Well, yeah, they're tough opponents, and everybody's going to be struggling at this time of year. The one game we have on the trade deadline, which is March 21st, is the game where we host Vegas. That is the last time we'll play Vegas that year, or this year. So that should be good, because I don't feel like facing them very often, because I hate them. I think most Wild fans hate them. Most of the NHL still hates them anyway. But oh my gosh. And the time when some of these games were postponed. Actually, I'm going to be honest, some of the times these games were postponed was during the losing streak. It literally was during the losing streak, because December 11th, we lost to the Kings 2-1. I don't even remember that game at this point. Then December 12th, we lost in Vegas 6-4. Don't remember that one. Hurricanes game was postponed. Then we lost to the Sabres at home 3-2 in a shootout. That game hurt. Then Panthers game was postponed. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was us or the Panthers that had some sort of COVID issues. We lost the Stars 7-4. That one was bad. And then the Red Wings and Jets were postponed, and then that led us to the Winter Classic, where we lost to the Blues 6-4. And then the Senators game was postponed, and then went on that streak. Wild beat the Bruins 3-2. That was Matt Boldy's first game. Then Wild beat the Capitals in a shootout 3-2. That was the game where Capitals scored on themselves to help us out. Then the Jets game was postponed. Then the Oilers game was postponed. Beat the Ducks 7-3. Lost in a shootout to the Avalanche 4-3, which again, questionable call, but not much you can do there. 5-1 win against the Blackhawks in Chicago. Then the 4-3 overtime win on Hockey Day, Minnesota against the Blackhawks. Whopping of the Canadiens 8-2. Oh, geez, it just clicked out for me. But you get the point. There's no reason for, or no excuse for there to be, oh, these are tough teams, okay? We can kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. We can't, because it's later in the season. It's good that we won those games early on, but good teams continue to win. So we have to continue to win. And we gotta get out of this funk that we always seem to get into. We're a very streaky team, and that's not good. It's not very good. But that's why I recommended just shooting the puck. Because the Wild, for some reason, have this inability to skate it into the zone. They can't, skate around a guy, skate through a guy. No. You gotta dump it in, and you gotta let the other team get it. Because, remember, when you play dump and chase it! Go get it! And you better be the first one there. Otherwise, dump and chase is just giving the puck back. So, either a more aggressive forecheck. Oh my God, I just had an epiphany. Another thing that could help. Special teams. Oh my goodness, how much of a tank is our special teams taking? Obviously, this game was bad. They were 2 for 3 on the power play, and we were 0 for 4. That is about as bad as you can get. The only worst thing is if the Flames actually scored on that third power play where they didn't. Because this just looked bad. Now I'm looking at it. Matthew Tkachuk's goal right off the bat was a power play goal. So how do you get into the box that quickly into the game? Just like that. Come on. It hurts. Maybe this is what I get for being a Minnesota fan. Of any sports team, they just eventually cuck me. They find a way to ruin it. Nothing we can do about this one, though. We just need to regroup, and we have to beat Philly. If we lose to Philly, there is reason to panic. There's kind of reason to panic here, too. But this is the last time. I'll admit it. This is the last time I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that this is a tough team to play. Because it is. The Flames are arguably the best team in the NHL right now. I say arguably because the points don't show it, but they have been red hot. Like a Flame should be as of recently. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for this game. This is the last one. Because now you have 2 easy opponents up. You have Philly and Buffalo. Sure, they're on the road, but it's Philly and Buffalo. If you cannot find a way to beat Philadelphia or Buffalo, then you have reason to worry. Because as of right now, I know St. Louis is still rolling. I know Nashville's still rolling. And the Avs are way too far ahead for anybody to really knock down. I don't think the Avs fall out of the playoffs. That would be astronomical if they did. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think anybody thinks it's going to happen. They're gearing for a cup run. So, the Wild don't have room to falter. And I've noticed we've done that against Central Division opponents, which is why I always say the Central Division is the best division in all of hockey, because it is the toughest to play against. Every one of these Central Division teams, except for Arizona and Chicago, yeah, pretty much except for Arizona and Chicago, every one of those other teams will give you a tough game. They may not win them, but they will give you a good game and one that actually tests your teams. That's not the case in the Metro or in all the Eastern Conference, really, because there's a clear line between who is playoff bound and who is not. And the standings reflect that. It is brutal in the Eastern Conference. Try and pull it up here for the wild card. Yeah, where's the points at it? Why did they do this so quickly? Okay, yeah. Washington is 65 points, and Columbus, the first team out, technically, of the playoffs, third in wildcard standings, have 57. 65 to 57. All of that is space in between the good teams and the bad ones. And Columbus isn't really a bad team, but they're obviously not good enough to make the clear benchmark in the East. Meanwhile, the West, oh, it's a different story. Because as of right now, Colorado is soaring high, 82 points. Not even Calgary's close to that. Calgary's win tonight puts them atop the Pacific at 70. St. Louis is also tied with them for second in the Central at 70. And then we are sitting there somehow still at third with 65 points. Who's in the wild card? Right behind us, only 1 point away with 64 points, is Nashville. And I really don't want to be a wild card team. We have always been a wild card team. It's in the name, I get that, but I'd love to host a series once. I'd really love to do that. And guess who's in the second wild card? With 62 points, Vegas. Yeah, it is Vegas. Calgary's atop the Pacific with 70. Behind them is the Kings with 65. And behind them is Edmonton with 63. And then Vegas is sitting there 1 point behind Edmonton at 62. And who is right behind Vegas with 61 points? Dallas. Because, of course, they have to show up. And then 59 points Anaheim, 58 points Vancouver, 57 for Winnipeg, 54 for San Jose. And then the drop-off is pretty clear because then Chicago is 46. So you see where the drop-off is? The West is a hell of a lot more wide open than the East. And it's a lot tougher to play in. So that's why I think the Stanley Cup champion from this year is not going to be the Lightning. And if it's not Florida, it's going to be a team from the West. If it's not Florida, it's going to be a team from the West. Because I don't think Pittsburgh does it. I personally don't think Tampa will do it. They have the ability to do it. But something tells me something's going to give. Okay? And if it doesn't for that team, then hockey's going to be mad. Hockey's definitely going to be mad if that happens. But I don't see Toronto breaking it. I don't see Boston or Washington coming up clutch. Carolina, they look good, but... And somehow Carolina's atop the East with 79 points. Florida only has 75 now. They're second behind older brother Tampa. Come on, it always does. This is indicative of the Wild. Every time I just bang my fist or just putting a little bit of criticism, just pretend that shaking is criticism, it shakes over and it falters. So great. See, it's not even coming back. I'll hold this because the video's over at this point. But if we do not beat Philly, there is reason to panic. If we do not beat Philly, there is reason to panic. But anyways, that is it. Signing off for now. Thank you. Like and subscribe. And do all the stuff that you should do. Mainly just like and subscribe because I want subscribers, so please help me out, okay?